Good afternoon, sir. I am Jane Banyo and this is my report. The forensic chemistry and toxicology. Scientific evidence defined as the means sanctioned by law of of ascertaining in a judicial proceeding the truth respecting of matter of fact, wherein the scientific knowledge is necessary. Such scientific evidence must have such relation to the fact in issue as to induce belief in its existence or non-existence. Evidence is a proof of allegation. It is means sanctioned by law of ascertaining in a judicial proceeding in the truth respecting a matter of fact. Evidence on collateral matters shall not be allowed except when it tends in any reasonable degree to establish the probability or improbability of the fact in issue. Evidence may be direct evidence, circumstantial evidence, and hearsay evidence. A. Direct evidence is that which the scenes perceive. Any fact to which a witness testified based on what he saw, heard, smell, or touch, or taste is direct. Crimes are done secretly. Usually, the perpetrator seeks darkness and remoteness in order to cover his misdeeds. And in most cases, no witness is present at the scene of the crime. Or even if there is or are witnesses, they are not willing to testify. The necessity of resorting the other means of proof is essential hence. It is necessary to use all other available modes of procuring evidence in order to establish and prove a case in court. B is circumstantial evidence. Is a kind of evidence which seeks to establish a conclusion by inferences from the fact proven. Under the present law, the circumstantial evidence is sufficient for conviction if A. There is more than one circumstances. B. The fact from which its inferences are derived are proven. And C. Is the combination of all the circumstances is such as to produce conviction beyond reasonable doubt. C is hearsay evidence. Is a statement made by a witness on the authority of another and not from his own personal knowledge or observation. Example of this is chismis, kanang mga gawa-gawa ng istorya. Forms of scientific evidence. First is real or autopic evidence. B is testimonial evidence. C is documentary evidence. E. Real or autopic evidence is that evidence which is addressed to the senses of the court. It is not limited to that which can be known by the sense of vision that extends to those which are perceived by the senses of hearing, taste, smell, or touch. Testimonial evidence. An expert may be called on the witness stand to answer all questions propounded by both parties in the cases. C is documentary evidence. Any written evidence presented by an expert in court which is relevant to the subject matter in dispute and not excluded by the rules of court. For example of this is example of the documentary evidence is formal written report, expert opinion, certificates, and dispositions are included in this group. The investigator is fact finder. It is basic that he must know the laws concerning the nature of his investigation. He should procure evidence in such a way that the findings can be admitted in court and remain impregnable against any attack by the opposing counsel. He should be in constant contact with various investigative and enforcement agencies. Drugs is a chemical substance that brings about physical, psychological, behavioral, and psychological change in a person taking it. All medicines are drugs, but not all drugs are medicine drugs. Medicinal drugs, a substance which when taken into the human body cure illness and or relieves signs or symptoms of disease. Dangerous drug, a substance of affecting the central nervous system which taken into the human body brings about the physical, emotional, and behavioral changes in a person taking it. Drug abuse, any non-medical use of drugs that cause physical or psychological or legal, economic or social damage to the user or to people affected by the user's behavior. Abuse usually refers to illegal drugs but may also be applicable to drugs that are available legally, such as prescribed by the medication and certain over-the-counter medications. Classification of drugs, natural drugs and synthetic drugs. A. Natural drugs are active ingredients, secondary metabolic products of plants and other living systems that may be isolated by instructions. Example of this is raw opium, marijuana, or hookah bush. Synthetic drugs are artificially produced substances synthesized in the laboratory for the illicit market, which are almost wholly manufactured from the chemical compound in illicit laboratories. Examples of synthetic drugs are methamphetamine and barbiturates. Republic Act 9165, known as the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. The terms prohibited and regulated was changed into dangerous drug. Stimulant are drugs which increase alertness and physical dispositions. Example of this is amphetamine. Street name is eye opener or lead poppers or pip pills or uppers or hearts. What it is reduce appetite, release mental depression, comfort fatigue, and sleepiness. How taken orally as tablet or capsule. Hallucinogens are drugs which affect sensations, thinking, self-awareness, and emotions. Changes in time and space perceptions, delusions or false beliefs, and hallucinations may be mild or overwhelming or depending on dose and quality of drugs. Example of hallucinations is ecstasy. The street name is XTC or Adam, Essence, E, or Herbals. How taken? Swallowing or inhalations. It affects the exaggerated emotions, makes HR and BP hike up, dries the mouth, stiffens arms, legs, jaws, dilates pupils on the eye, causes faintness, chills, sweating, and nausea. Dangers, it can really kill. Depressant are drugs which depress or lower the function of the nervous system, of the central nervous system. Inhalants. These are any liquid, solid, or mixed substance that has the proper of releasing toxic or psychoactive vapor or fumes. Example of this of inhalants is solvent, glow, gasolines, kerosene, paint, thinner, or naphthalene. Dangerous drug. It is a substance which taken into the human body alters mood, perceptions, or feelings and behavior. Under Republic Act 6425, other known as the Dangerous Drug of 1972, 1972, dangerous drugs are classified into three main categories, namely prohibited drugs, regulated drugs, and volatile substance. Prohibited drugs, which includes opium and its active component and derivatives such as the heroin and morphine. Regulated drugs, regulated drugs which include self-inducing sedatives such as secobarbital or phenobarbital or pentobarbital or barbital or amobarbital, and any other drugs which contains a salt or a derivative of a salt or barbituric acid. Any salt, isomer, or salt of an isomer or amphetamine such as benzedrine or dexedrine, or any drugs which produce as a psychological action similar to amphetamine, and hypnotic drugs such as methaqualone, nitrazepam, or any other compound producing similar psychological effect as amended by PD number 1683, date March 14, 1980. Volatile substance. Liquid, solid, or mixed substances having the property of releasing toxic vapor or fumes or any chemical substance, which when sniffed, smelled, inhaled, or introduced into the psychological system of the body produce or induce a condition of intoxication, inebriation, excitement, stupefaction, and etc. Republic Act 9165, other known as the Dangerous Drug of 2002, give a single definition for prohibited and regulated drugs. The old law defined the term dangerous drugs as pertaining to either prohibited drugs or regulated drugs. Drug dependence means a state of psychic or physical dependence or both on a dangerous drug, arising in a person following administrations or use of that drug on a periodic or continuous basis. Characteristic of drug dependency. First is physical dependence. Second is mental or psychological dependence. Three is idiosyncrasy or side effect. Physical dependence. The body physical system changes until the body needs that particular drug in order to function. Mental or psychological dependence. A need of drug in order to feel good, to get by or feel normal. Use refers to act of injecting intravenously or intramuscular, or of consuming either by dwelling, smoking, sniffing, eating, swallowing, drinking, or otherwise introducing into the psychological system of the body any of the dangerous drug. Sale means the act of giving a dangerous drug, whether for money or any other material considerations. Drug identifications is a branch of forensic chemistry that deals with scientific examinations of drugs and volatile substances. Drug identification is usually conducted by a forensic chemist, chemical officer, to determine the presence of dangerous drug on submitted specimens. The forensic chemist or chemical officer also conduct drug tests on body fluids or suspected drugs pushers and users to determine the presence of dangerous drug metabolites. Paraphernalia like smoking pipes, toothers, and aluminum foils should also be submitted or examination to determine the presence of dangerous drug. Forms of dangerous drug. Drugs are in various forms. This includes tablets, capsules, liquid, powder, break or discs of marijuana, crushed leaves, and uprooted plants. Thank you, sir. I am Jane Banyo, BS Criminology 3, your reporters for today. And I'm sorry, sir, for being late because I'm not feeling well, sir, and actually lain pag akong tutulan, sir. But thank you, sir, and God bless. Thank you, sir.